You're very much welcome to ComfortTV.channel news, where we bring you verified and balanced news from Nigeria and around the world. My name is Faith Kevin. Thank you for joining us again this amazing morning. And the headlines: President Tinubu appoints General Musa as Defense Minister. Presidency donates 200 million naira to support Nigerian Legion. Federal government appoints Air Vice Hail Abdurrahman as Chairman of Military Pensions Board. Chief Dele Momodu declares Alhaji Abubakar the sole serious challenger to President Tinubu, who demands stronger security after deadly attacks across 4 states. Senator Goje confronts Senate President Akpabio over unparliamentary conduct. On business news, federal government sets up $100 million equity investment scheme to support Nigeria's oil company. Nigerian economy expands for 12 months as PMI hits 56.4 points. On the foreign scene, Pope Leo XIV prays for justice and peace in Lebanon. President Putin issues stark warning to Europe over potential war. On sports, FIFA plans VAR checks on corner kicks for 2026 World Cup. NSC moves to approve Nigeria's first flag football federation. Now the news. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has nominated the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabin Musa, retired, as the new Minister of Defense. In a formal letter to the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, the President asked the Senate to confirm General Musa as the replacement for Honorable Mohammed Badaro Abubakar, who resigned on Monday. General Musa served as Chief of Defense Staff from 2023 to October 2025, after previously holding top command roles, including Theater Commander of Operation Hadinkai and Commander of the Nigerian Army Infantry Corps. President Tinubu expressed confidence that General Musa would strengthen Nigeria's defense system and support ongoing security reforms. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu donated 200 million naira to the Nigerian Legion, reaffirming his administration's commitment to the welfare of military personnel, injured officers, and the families of fallen heroes. The President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, contributed 100 million naira on behalf of the National Assembly, while the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, donated 20 million naira. The donations were made at the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem appeal launch held at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. During the ceremony, President Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, the Senate President, the Deputy Speaker, and service chiefs were decorated with the remembrance poppy by the Chairman of the National Council of the Nigerian Legion, Mrs. Morenike Grace Henry. President Tinubu urged government institutions, businesses, and public-spirited individuals to donate generously to the Legion, which supports retirees and widows of fallen military heroes. He emphasized the importance of honoring the fallen, supporting the wounded, and caring for all who answered the call to serve. He commended the armed forces for their courage in securing communities, highlighting the surrender of tens of thousands of insurgents, neutralization of key terrorist leaders, and the release of many captives. He also noted improvements in maritime security, reduction in oil theft and piracy, and reaffirmed his administration's commitment to equipping and motivating the military. President Tinubu added that his administration has enhanced allowances, upgraded barracks, strengthened healthcare services, expanded the Defense Health Maintenance Services Limited, and modernized pension verifications through BBN and NIN verifications. Chief of Defense Staff Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede described the emblem as a symbol of support for fallen heroes and their families, thanking the President for improving military welfare and resources. He stated that wearing the emblem and supporting the appeal fund affirms Nigeria's commitment to its veterans. Armed Forces Remembrance Day is observed annually on January 15 to honor fallen soldiers and recognize living veterans. The federal government has appointed Air Vice Marshal Mikhail Abdurrahman, retired, as the new chairman of the Military Pensions Board. AVM Abdurrahim is a member of the 42 regular course of the Nigerian Defense Academy and has served the Nigerian Air Force for nearly 3 decades. He graduated from the National Defense College in Bangladesh and holds a master's degree in Security Management Studies, a bachelor's degree in Electrical Engineering, and a bachelor's degree in Accounting. Throughout his career, ABM Abdurrahim has held key leadership and financial management positions, including Managing Director of Nigerian Air Force Properties Limited, Senior Finance Officer at the Defense Intelligence Agency, and senior roles at the Office of the National Security Advisor. He is also affiliated with institutions such as the Harvard Kennedy School of Government and the National Institute of Accountants. The board noted that ABM Abdurrahim's extensive experience in leadership, fiscal management, and strategic planning will strengthen pensions administration and enhance welfare systems for retired military personnel. Under his leadership, the board expects ongoing reforms to be deepened, stakeholder engagement improved, and the dignity and well-being of veterans prioritized. Media entrepreneur Chief Dele Momodu has said that the Nigerian opposition is unprepared to challenge President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the 2027 presidential election. He emphasized that former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is the only contender, demonstrating the organization and seriousness needed for the race. Chief Momodu questioned how opposition presidential aspirants expect to defeat President Tinubu when they have not agreed on a unified strategy. He described contesting for the highest office as a serious undertaking that requires careful planning and structure. According to Chief Momodu, defeating an incumbent like President Tinubu requires more than online support or political rhetoric. It demands a substantial financial war chest, nationwide political structures, religious balancing, and strong support across ethnic groups. He further argued that many opposition figures appeared unprepared or indifferent to President Tinubu remaining in office, suggesting some may have already given up on their presidential ambitions. Chief Momodu stressed that only a well-coordinated and well-resourced effort can mount a credible challenge against the president. The Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, HURIWA, has condemned a wave of violent attacks in Imo, Abia, Plateau, and Sokoto states over the last 24 hours, calling for urgent and coordinated action by federal and state authorities. The incidents, which included abductions and deadly raids on rural communities, underscores the need for proactive policing and strengthened collaboration among security agencies. Reports indicate that travelers were abducted near Ngopala in Imo State while en route to Aba in Abia State. A separate attack targeted the advance team of the Abia State governor along the Umuahia-Owerri route. In Plateau State, 3 people were killed and 5 injured during an early morning attack on Chaff Camp community in Mangu local government area, where dozens of cattle were also rustled. In Sokoto State, residents of Bakale village in Kilgori district faced threats from armed groups demanding levies to avoid violence, while other villages in Kilgori and Torankawa district recently attacked as well. HURIWA urged the federal government and state authorities to strengthen early warning systems, intelligence gathering, and rapid response mechanisms. The association also stressed the economic risk posed by repeated abductions, particularly near major roads like the Owerri Airport, signed by National Coordinator Comrade Emmanuel Onwubiko. HURIWA called for a comprehensive approach that includes tighter border security, improved community policing, and more support for security agencies operating in remote areas. The group warned that communities remain highly vulnerable and demanded transparent investigations and clear communication from authorities to prevent future attacks. A tense scene unfolded in the Senate after Senator Danjuma Goje openly accused the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, of violating parliamentary rules during plenary. The row began moments after Senator Akpabio entered the chamber and took over from the Deputy Senate President, Senator Jibrin Barau. Shortly after assuming the chair, Senator Akpabio summoned Senate Leader Senator Okpeyemi Bamidele and several others for a side discussion. Senator Goje immediately raised a point of order, citing Order 55, subsection 12A, which prohibits side interactions during plenary. He insisted that the Senate President's action was unparliamentary and had brought proceedings to a halt. The Senate President invited Senator Goje to approach the chair, but he refused, saying he would not participate in what he considered improper. Despite Senator Akpabio's attempts to calm the situation and explain that the brief meeting concerned an urgent assignment at the presidential villa, Senator Goje maintained his objection and demanded that the discussion stop so plenary could resume. Senator Akpabio later clarified that the senators were discussing whether to adjust the sitting time because of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem launch scheduled at the villa. The chamber eventually settled, but the exchange highlighted growing tensions over procedural conduct in the upper legislative chambers. This is ComfortTV.channel news. We return shortly with business, foreign and sports news. Many thanks for staying tuned. In the world of business, the federal government has launched a $100 million equity investment scheme aimed at boosting the capacity of Nigerian companies operating in the oil and gas sector. The initiative was unveiled at the 2025 Practical Nigerian Content Forum in Yenigua, Bayelsa State, by the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, Engineer Felix Ogbe. Speaking at the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the NCDMB and the Bank of Industry (BOI), Engineer Ogbe said the scheme was designed to support high-growth indigenous energy service companies. He explained that the fund will provide equity financing to high-growth indigenous energy service companies while diversifying NCDF's income base and strengthening local content development. Engineer Ogbe also disclosed that the board had completed the framework for issuing the NCDF Compliance Certificate, an instrument that confirms companies' compliance with the statutory 1% remittance obligation. The certificate, he said, which will take effect from January 1, 2026, will be mandatory for obtaining key permits and approvals from the board. Still on business, the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has reported that the Composite Purchasing Managers Index (PMI) rose to 56.4 points in November, marking the 12th consecutive month of economic expansion. According to the CBN, 29 of the 36 subsectors surveyed showed growth, reflecting a broad and robust recovery across the economy. The industrial sector maintained an upward trend with a PMI of 54.2 points, with 10 of 17 industrial subsectors reporting growth, highlighting stronger output levels across manufacturing and allied activities. The services sector posted a PMI of 56.8 points, continuing its expansion streak for the 10th month. With all 14 subsectors recording growth, agriculture remained the standout performer, recording a PMI of 58.2 points for the 16th consecutive month. With all 5 subsectors showing growth, however, price pressures varied across sectors, with agriculture facing the highest gap between input and output prices at 7.2 points, while services experienced the narrowest at 2.7 points. Foreign now, Pope Leo XIV concluded his first overseas trip to Lebanon by visiting the site of the deadly 2020 Beirut port explosion and offering words of consolation to the Lebanese people. The blast, which killed 218 people and cost billions of dollars in damage, remains a symbol of official impunity as no one has yet been convicted. At the site, relatives of the victims held photos of their loved ones while the Pope prayed silently and personally greeted families. He emphasized that justice is crucial for Lebanon to heal, urging political leaders to pursue truth, peace, and reconciliation. Earlier in the day, Pope Leo visited De La Croix Hospital, which cares for people with psychological difficulties, highlighting the need to protect society's most vulnerable. He called on Lebanese citizens to remain hopeful despite crisis and urged the nation to embrace justice and fraternity. In his farewell address at Beirut Airport, the Pope extended support to southern Lebanon, which continues to face conflict, and stressed that negotiation and dialogue are the path to peace. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun thanked the Pope for bringing comfort and reminding the world that Lebanon has not been forgotten. Moving on, Russian President Vladimir Putin issued a stark warning to European powers, saying that if Europe were to start a war with Russia, the outcome would be so decisive that there would be no one left to negotiate a peace deal. Nearly 4 years into the war in Ukraine, the deadliest conflict in Europe since World War II, Russia has been unable to conquer the smaller nation, which continues to receive support from European countries and the United States. Despite repeated warnings that a Russian victory in Ukraine could threaten NATO members, President Putin has dismissed such concerns. Speaking to reporters, President Putin suggested that while Russia's campaign in Ukraine has been surgical and limited, a direct confrontation with European powers will be far more severe. He also accused European nations of obstructing U.S. President Donald Trump's peace efforts, claiming they proposed unacceptable terms to accuse Russia of unwillingness to negotiate. In addition, President Putin threatened to cut Ukraine's access to the sea in retaliation for drone attacks on Russian tankers in the Black Sea. He accused Europe of aligning itself with war by severing communications and refusing dialogue with Russia. The statement underscores escalating tensions between Russia and Europe amid a protracted conflict in Ukraine that has already caused massive casualties and widespread destruction. On sports, FIFA will trial video assistant referee or VAR reviews for corner kicks at next year's World Cup, despite domestic leagues rejecting the idea for regular competition. In October, the International Football Association Board (IFAB) approved expanding VAR to cover cases where a second yellow card is wrongfully given, resulting in a red card, but reviewing corner kicks was not approved for league play, meaning FIFA will run a separate experiment during the tournament in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. The issue will be revisited at IFAB's January meeting. Still, FIFA has a history of testing innovation at its own events, including semi-automated offside technology and public VAR announcements. Officials say the same approach could apply to corner kicks. FIFA's head of referees, Mr. Pierluigi Collina, supports the trial as part of a broader review of VAR rules. He says any clear, quickly verifiable error should be eligible for review. Mr. Collina pointed to the Euro 2016 final where Portugal was wrongly awarded a free kick in extra time for a handball near the penalty area, nearly leading to a decisive goal. Moving on, the National Sports Commission, led by its Director General, Mr. Patrick Onyema, has begun the process of officially approving Nigeria's first flag football federation, setting the stage for the sport's formal recognition at the national level. In a statement released by the Special Assistant on Media to the Director General, Mr. Kola Daniel, the Commission explained that no group, local or international, has ever been formally authorized to represent Nigeria in flag football. The NSC noted that it is the only body empowered by Nigerian law to approve and regulate sports federations, and this authority extends to emerging sports like flag football. Mr. Onyema said the Commission is currently meeting with all stakeholders to create a unified national structure for the sport. He stressed that every group already involved in flag football will be carried along, as the goal is to establish a federation that aligns with both international standards and Nigeria's long-term sports development plans. The NSC confirmed that the recognition process is still ongoing and no final decision has been reached. However, it assured athletes, coaches, and partners that the new federation will be built on transparency, inclusiveness, and global best practices to ensure credible representation in international competitions. And that's our news bulletin this hour. Before we go, a recap of our top stories. President Tinubu appoints General Musa as Defense Minister. Presidency donates 200 million naira to support Nigerian Legion. Federal government appoints Air Vice Marshal Mikhail Abdurrahim as chairman of Military Pensions Board. Chief Dele Momodu declares Alhaji Abubakar the sole serious challenger to President Tinubu. Huriwa demands stronger security after deadly attacks across 4 states. Senator Goje confronts Senate President Akpabio over unparliamentary conduct. On business, Federal government sets up $100 million equity investment scheme to support Nigerian oil companies. Foreign Pope Leo XIV prays for justice and peace in Lebanon. And on sports, FIFA plans VAR checks on corner kicks for 2026 World Cup. Thanks for watching. For breaking news, exclusive interviews and more, follow us online at ComfortTV.channel on all platforms. Remember to like and share videos, subscribe to our channel, click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on future updates. My name is Faith Kevin. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected.